Welcome to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Hi, I'm Larry Logsdon. Today I'm joined with Dr. Bob Martin, host of America's largest weekend syndicated health talk show in America. And today we're talking about a big problem with many women. Yep, really big problem. Uterine fibroids. It's a condition affecting up to 80% of women. These non-cancerous growths can cause severe pain and disrupt lives. But today we explore, can Noni help relieve uterine fibroids? That's a big subject. It's a totally natural approach to managing fibroids and highlight how functional foods like Noni Juice can support women's health. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
All right, we're going to turn our attention to a topic that I think is under-supported by education, and it is a topic that I have, of course, dealt with in my own professional practice for many years, and that is women's health and women having trouble with female function, a very painful condition that some women develop. In fact, a lot of women develop it statistically, and you'll learn more about that momentarily. But I've had the opportunity and the privilege to assist many women who have been struggling from the development of uterine fibroids, which are benign little tumors that occur inside the uterus, extremely painful. It's a common concern. Most women will suffer, but they don't have to. Now, according to the Office of Women's Health and Human Services, it's estimated that about 70 to 80% of women will develop uterine fibroids in their lifetime. That's up to 8 of 10 women in the U.S. with fibroid tumors growing abnormally in their uteruses by the time they are, on average, about age 50. Uterine fibroids are non-cancerous tumors that grow in a woman's womb, uterus, and may cause excruciating pain. I've had women explain this to me, that it's worse than having a baby. It's worse than having a root canal without any Novocaine. And not only is it painful, but women who have these fibroid tumors have excessive bleeding. They're literally slowly bleeding to death, and nobody knows what to do. You can become constipated with these uterine fibroids. They develop back pain, anemia, infertility. Their abdomens look like they're 6 months or 9 months pregnant. It's amazing what women go through with this condition. And these fibroids can grow as a single tumor or numerous tumors. They're benign. They're not cancerous, and can have these little tiny or large tumors occur, that even some are the size of a grapefruit. Many of these fibroids can be detected during a routine pelvic examination, depending on their location, or confirmed mostly with ultrasound, which I'm a big fan of. Now, a first medical treatment of choice often includes, for women who have diagnosed with these uterine fibroids, they're offered up artificial hormone-blocking drugs. They're used against this condition. And if that doesn't work, the next is surgery. That's employed in an attempt to limit the blood supply to the uterus to shrink these tumors. And if that doesn't work, guess what? Well, it's on the chopping block with a total hysterectomy or a partial hysterectomy, removing the uterus, which is a big mistake usually. Sometimes, unfortunately, they get so bad, there's no other way around it. But drugs and surgery are not the only way to stop uterine fibroid tumors growing in 70 to 80% of women in their lifetimes. My special guest is going to discuss that. His name is Larry Logsdon. He's a functional food researcher specializing in the medicinal properties of exotic fruits. Larry founded the Tahiti Trader Noni Company in 1998. I asked Larry to join us today to discuss this important information on ways women can reduce their risk of developing uterine fibroids and if they already have them, how to help them as well. And let's say hello to Larry Logsdon and welcome him back to the program. Good day to you, Larry.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Bob. How are you this wonderful Monday?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us today. Let's jump right into this. You heard the introduction, Larry. What sparked you? What created in your mind the interest in looking at and trying to help women with these uterine fibroids?
Well, Dr. Bob, that's one of the first complaints we hear about from those who call us, talking about, well, Noni, help me. And they say, oh, I've got this terrible thing happens every month, and it keeps getting worse. And many times we're talking about lumps inside their tummy, and they just don't know what to do about it. And then they call back after some time and say, oh, my gosh, some wonderful things have been happening to my body. You won't believe it. And we hear incredible firsthand testimony about what the heck's gone on in their body and now what transformation has taken place after some period of time. It's a really important thing because now research is showing us that sometimes as much as 80%, that's 8 gals in 10, are having trouble, and it's fibroid tumors.
Yeah, some women, when they speak of their monthly cycle when they are in childbearing age, they talk about how the monthly cycle is so bad, it's like a curse to them. And I have found, Larry, in my own experience with thousands of women, assisting them with their personal health, sexual health, and female health, that those women who have painful menstrual cycles, which not all women do, many women, my wife, my daughters, nobody having any menstrual distress. Like some women, it is so painful. And I think I've seen over the years a correlation between women who have a difficulty during their menstruation cycle once a month go on to develop, they're more prone, I believe, at least that's what my own observation has been. There's nothing scientific about it, but maybe in the literature it's there, that these same women who have menstrual difficulties are the same women that go on to develop these uterine fibroids, these tumors inside their uterus, which are extremely painful and disabling to them. So
that's so true. And what's really interesting is that some gals go on to develop them later. We're finding that gals past childbearing age are really the ones that are suffering now because now they've decided they want to do things that are more healthy as they've gotten older. Well, I want to preserve my health, so I'm going to eat more healthy foods, and they pick the wrong ones.
Well, I think a lot of women, they rely on their gynecologists. I mean, they're obviously the experts, men and women who are very dedicated in conventional medicine to trying to manage these various symptoms and various problems that come on to women gynecologically, whether it's dysmenorrhea or amenorrhea or whatever, or uterine fibroids or whatever the condition may be. And I think that many women are talked into, after having tried, the first approach, maybe hormones, interfering with certain hormones, blocking certain hormones to try to reduce the effects of these fibroids, to then, if that doesn't work, and it often doesn't, at least that's been my experience, they go on to some type of minimally invasive surgery. And if that doesn't work, which it often doesn't, the next thing is removal of an organ that was supposed to be there in the woman's body for a complete lifetime. And that is tragic because most women do not learn through their doctors that if they remove their uteruses, their sex lives may be circling the drain, since we know that the uterus is an orgasmic organ. But, I forgot to tell you that. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Our special guest with us is Larry Logsdon. He is a functional food researcher. I asked Larry to share with us important information about ways women can reduce their risk of developing uterine fibroids, and if they already have them, how they can help those ladies get well with them. let's go back to that conversation with Larry. Larry, through your research, what have you discovered causes these uterine fibroids?
Well, it's unknown exactly what causes them, but we know what feeds them, and we know what triggers them. It has to do with an imbalance in hormones, and this usually occurs when you're consuming foods or other things in your diet that are going to trigger this. Now, one of those is soy. Is an amazing food, but it is full of estrogen. And, of course, that's not good for these because it triggers it. And also plastics and the plastic derivatives. And there's also a whole host of chemicals that you'll find in most of today's foods that are prepared for you, and there are precursors to all of these hormone-disrupting chemicals.
You are right about that. And we're not talking, folks, about whole soy here. We're not talking about eating edamame here, but we're talking about soy isolate. This is what happens.
Soy lattes.
Yes, that's right. You're right. They put, now you say, okay, I want to get away from dairy, away from cow milk, because I've heard that there's trace amounts of antibiotics and recombinant bovine growth hormone in it, so I want to get away from dairy. Well, then they move over to the soy milk, and what they're getting there is the soy isolate, which is a ultra-refined type of soy, which contains the estrogenic properties within that soy in a very concentrated way, and unfortunately, in certain individuals, that's going to create a problem, as in the case of overstimulation of the uterine wall in women who are prone to these uterine fibroid tumors that develop. That's the beginning or the initial stages of it. So if you have issues, any lady out there who has still has her uterus and is having trouble, stay away from the soy, the refined soy products. When you're eating fermented soy, it doesn't matter if it's tofu or tempeh or many of the other fine soy, that's fine. That's different. That's a completely different story. But you're exposed to soy oil. Any restaurant you go to, they're going to use the cheapest oil possible. And sometimes it happens to be soy oil or canola oil, and you're going to get exposed to these environmental toxins, including the estrogenic what were called xenoestrogens, which basically destroys and dysmodulates the hormone system. It blocks certain receptors. It causes progesterone to go whack, and same thing with the 3 estrogens. So here's a way that we're trying to show you that you can counteract these uterine fibroids if you know what you're doing. And it's my understanding that a certain race is also more prone to uterine fibroids. Has that been your research as well, Larry?
Yes, that's so true. You'll find that African Americans are so susceptible. We don't know exactly the reasoning, but these folks are the ones that come up short every time when it comes to female health. For some reason, they're very, very susceptible to these kinds of products, and it's really wicked for some of these gals. In fact, I think we might be able to share a story this morning about one that called us to tell us their story.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to alert my producer, Alex, who's listening. He's on the other side of the wall over there doing a great job being co-piloting of the show. If you can find, Alex, the audio clip that was sent over to you earlier in the week, we'll wait till the next break before we actually play that. And basically, this is an audio clip of a woman. Larry, you sent this to me, and I appreciate you doing so. I mean, I know the plight of women who suffer with these uterine fibroids. I mean, they are besides themselves. I mean, the pain that is endured, like I mentioned, is described as worse than having a baby or having a root canal without any anesthetic. It's that painful, the receptors in the uterus that are being stressed and inflamed by the abnormal growth of these tumors, these benign tumors that are so irritating that many women cannot put up with this. Now, Larry, before we get to that audio clip that you allude to there, let's discuss what this particular person did in front of that, so we know, so the audience kind of knows where we're headed here.
Well, she's a very health-minded gal named Sheila, and she has always exercised, always been natural about everything in her life. Her grandmother was one to really lay out the rules of how to live your life, and you cooked the best foods at home. You didn't go out for those, and she did everything she could right. But she didn't know about soy. She had no idea, and she was using soy as part of her dietary regimen. And little by little by little, as she was using it, she was finding over a period of time that her tummy kept getting larger and larger and larger and harder and harder and harder, to a point where she couldn't hold her urine any longer, and she could no longer do number two. It was a real problem. And, of course, she had to go find out what it was, and went to visit her doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, yeah, you got tumors, lots of them. And we'll go take care of that. We'll go ahead and do you a hysterectomy." And she goes, "What? I'm too young for that. I'm having kids. What?" And so one thing led to the other, and she says, "I got to get me a solution," and went to the local health store where she was guided to Noni products, where she found ours, and says, "Oh my God, why should I use this?" And the gal says, "Well, it's the best one we've got." And so she went on a course of this, and over a course of time, all of those tumors were expelled, all of them. And her tummy returned to normal, and her life back to normal. And she'll tell that story. But the reality is, this is one of so many we get, Dr. Bob. This is such a problem. It's actually scary.
That is, and we're going to further discuss that on the other side of this break. And we'll also play that audio clip that Alex has now when we come out of this break. So listen to this very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. This lady who had these fibroid tumors, who took the Tahiti Trader Noni Juice and got better. All right, our special guest is Larry Logsdon. He's a functional food researcher. We're talking about some statistics which shock a lot of people when you say that there's an estimated 70 to 80% of women who will develop uterine fibroids in their lifetime. That's up to 8 out of 10 women in the U.S. with fibroid tumors growing abnormally in their uteruses by the time they are age 50 years. And of course, the prototypical conventional treatment for this is artificial hormone-blocking drugs. Next is surgery, minimally, to try to shut the blood supply off. And if that doesn't work, it's hysterectomy time, removal of the uterus. Larry is telling us about some great results that have been shared with him via his customers over at Tahiti Trader Noni on drinking noni juice as a functional food, as a medicinal food substance to help rebalance the female hormone system, to the extent that in this particular case, a woman who had these uterine fibroids, suffering greatly with it and facing the possibility of a hysterectomy, found out about Tahiti Trader Noni Juice via a friendly health food store employee, and she simply started to drink it, and voila, her problem was resolved. But don't believe me. Let's play the audio clip and hear what she had to say personally. Go.
I was having some problems. I was using soy, and I didn't know it was causing fibroids to grow in my womb. They grew very big. I couldn't hold my urine. They were pressing on my colon. It was just, I was in agony. And then I started having real bad hot flashes, and just my body just got all out of whack. I just knew that my abdomen was getting bigger and bigger and harder and harder. And I went straight to the doctor, and they checked me out. And they told me that, yes, I had tumors. And they said, you have a lot of tumor. And they said, well, we can, you can just get a hysterectomy. And I was like, I'm too young for that. And I went straight to Lindbergh's Nutrition in Torrance. So the young lady in the store, she introduced herself and she asked me, could she help me? I said, yes. I said that I'm having fibroid tumors. That's when the young lady in there introduced me to Noni. And she says, well, if I were you, I would get the Tahiti Trader. And I said, oh, why? And she said, I think it's the best one we have. And then she began to give me some testimonials from some customers. And the Noni was really helping me. So she just lifted my spirits when she told me that. I just stayed on the Noni consistently. And then as the time went on, I started having this discharge. Pardon me, it smelled awful. But I noticed too, my stomach was getting softer. My abdomen was getting softer. And it started to go down. And my body was purging those tumors. And I knew they started to literally dissolve. I would go to the restroom and they started coming out. Sure enough, they just kept on dissolving. And it did that for about a year. Just kept dissolving. It was a process. I kept using the Noni. They kept dissolving. Everything started clearing up. My body started adjusting. My health started getting better. I started feeling good. I had a really good experience with the Noni. And that's why I still use it today.
Well, Larry, that is a remarkable testimonial about how Tahiti Trader Noni Juice helped to solve her challenge with uterine fibroid tumors. Do we know what is in the Noni Juice that actually helped this so greatly?
Yes, Dr. Bob. Noni contains a whole group of anthocyaninones. And these chemicals, which are naturally occurring in the Noni, work to cut off the blood supply to tumors, and then they die. It just takes time for that to happen, of course. But this has been proven by research done by Japanese researchers, and they said that it showed a powerful slowing effect of the growth of tumors by inhibiting the important enzymes that are needed to form them to start with.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I wish I would have known about that in my early years of practice when I was realizing that the more I learned, the more I realized I didn't know. Because I'll tell you what, Larry, there are many women who entered into my practice that had these uterine fibroids that I wasn't able to successfully help because I didn't have that type of knowledge set yet. And they went on to have these invasive procedures, including a hysterectomy, and come to find out, maybe it wasn't even necessary. Some obviously are and benefit by it because they're too far gone, but what if the Noni Juice could have helped more? We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Well, you happen to be tuned into the largest radio health talk show in America, in large part thanks to you. Welcome back to this hour of the Dr. Bob Martin Show. Our special guest, Larry Logsdon, CEO, founder of Tahiti Trader Noni. If you want to find out more about Tahiti Trader Noni Juice, you can find it in finer health food stores nationwide, including natural grocers stores, Sprouts Farmers Markets, Whole Foods, and other fine stores. You can also go to their website at TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com, or call them up for more information beyond this interview at 800-842-5309, 800-842-5309, because I suspect, Larry, that women listening to this conversation who are having menstrual problems or had a history of uterine fibroids or knows somebody who's going to be a run on Noni Juice after hearing that lady's testimonial, don't you think?
You bet, Dr. Bob. It's an amazing thing that Noni has such an amazing way it can help your body adapt to the things that are going wrong. It's just an amazing thing that we call it the amazing adaptogen, and actually it's the foundation of your wellness. It's an amazing thing, Bob.
How much Noni Juice would someone need to drink to get the therapeutic benefits on a daily basis, Larry?
I would suggest 2 ounces a day. We'll show you how to take it. Take it right, because you can't just pound it down. You need to sip it. But it's an amazing thing. This gal only used 1 ounce twice a day, and those are the results over time.
All right. Any adverse side effects people need to worry about taking Noni Juice, and what does it taste like quickly?
Well, Well, it tastes pretty good. We have an amazing product. Our high-potency blended noni juice is amazing with blueberry. It's an amazing product. It's one of those things you're going to feel better. That's the only adverse side effect there is. You're going to feel great.
Well, that would be an adverse side effect I think a lot of people would welcome for sure. All right, folks. And Larry, beyond natural grocer stores carries noni, I mentioned Sprouts Farmers Markets, Whole Foods. What other stores carry noni juice that are big ones that people would recognize?
Yes, GNC, Vitamin Shop, Sprouts Farmers Market, Whole Foods, the big players. Everybody's out there is using Tahiti Trader Noni. It's the best one because it's the only thing we do.
Very good. And further beyond this conversation, folks, you can learn more about Tahiti Trader on their website at tahititrader.com, tahititrader.com, or pick up the telephone, call them Monday morning for further information, 800-842-5309. Larry, I want to thank you for joining us. I mean, this is a topic that I don't think many people would be able to connect the dots. Taking in an exotic juice and helping something as complex as the female hormone system and its development of an abnormal condition called uterine fibroids. But there you have it. The lady speaks for you and the company, and the results matter, and that's what counts.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Stay proactive in your health journey. Follow us on social media for more tips and visit TahitiTrader.com to learn how noni juice can make a difference and take care. We'll sure see you next time. Thank you for listening.